Will the virtuous Sangha out of compassion for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize not birth. Cung kính đại đức tặng tình, vì thứ pháp hội cập nhật tiếp chúng sanh, tịnh chuyên diệu pháp luân giáo đạo ngã mùng, như á liêu sanh thoát rư lý khổ đạp lạc, tốt chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nam mô Sa Nan Tho Su Che Do Ye A La Hư Đi San Miao San Pu To Xie. Nam mô Tại Rắc Tha Tô Già Đa Già La Đế Tam Miệu Tam Bồ Đà Toa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu sheng sheng she wei tao fa bai jian wan jie nan zao yu. Wo jin jian wen de shou chi, yuan jie ru lai zhe shi yi. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Venerable Qingyang, Venerable Shenhua, Venerable Left-Home people, and all good no advisors, Emituofo. 诸佛菩萨、六祖师父，no, wait a minute. 诸佛菩萨，净良大士，师父上人各位出家人各位善知识，阿弥陀佛。Chư Phật Bồ Tát kính thưa Thanh Lương Quốc sư, Hòa thượng Điền Hòa, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện sĩ thức A Di Đà Phật. Okay, hello everyone. Today is the 8th of May 2021. Thank you all for coming. We are here to continue discussing the last part of the preface to the Avatamsaka Sutra, written by Master Qingyang. All right. Maybe this is the last lecture for the preface. We are in the midst of we started discussing the miracles for the people associated with the translation or transcription of the Avatamsaka Sutra, so we heard a few examples of manifestations like flowers, like spiritual beings, so forth. And to the people who actually transcribed or translated this sutra, the Flower Adornment Sutra, from Sanskrit into Chinese. And it made me wonder, why is it people who cultivate, you don't hear, when you continue this, I think most of these people, they recite the sutras, they translate sutras, they bow to sutras and so forth, they have these manifestations. But what about the people who actually put these sutras into practice? We don't hear miracles or auspicious things from these practitioners at all. Okay? And I don't have an answer for that, do you? How come? Like people who translate only or transcribe only. They have responses. Okay. So anyway, 212 is slide number. In the Tang Dynasty, there is a monk called Hui You. Wisdom and You is assistance. Okay. Who stayed at Chungfu Temple. And Chung is what? To worship. Fu, blessings. To worship and to generate blessings. Temple. He was diligently and assiduously practiced the precepts. Okay? Precepts, foundations of spiritual practices. All spiritual practices, whether it's Buddhist or non-Buddhist, they, in order for you to reach higher levels of samadhi or concentration levels, it's based on these precepts or rules of morality foundation. Doesn't matter, okay? Whether you are a Taoist or you are a yoga person, okay? When you reach high level of samadhis, it's because you have high level of purity or morality, bar none. They may not express their purity of morality rules the way we Buddhists express them, but definitely in terms of morality, in terms of purity of mind, they're all the same. Okay, so samadhi level is another aspect of purity. You see, so that's why this morning when I taught the Chan class, I explained to people that when we teach you Chan meditation, actually it's also we need to teach you about purity of mind, goodness of mind. So if you come to the temple and you refine your heart so that your heart becomes finer and purer, you're actually practicing Chan as well. That's why in our temples, to practice Chan, our Weiyang tradition, is not necessarily for you to sit there and meditate and cross your legs. Okay? That's only one aspect of Chan. The other aspect of Chan is that it happens to most of my left form people, disciples, they work. And in working, they refine the mind. That's also practicing Chan while working. Do you understand? When you get higher levels, I teach you how to work differently. But at low levels, when you work, you are actually refining your mind as well, purifying your mind. And that's why I didn't understand when I was at my master's temple the first 4 years that I became a novice. I was for about 4.5 years. The first 4 years with Master YongHua's temples. He's dead already, so no one explained anything to me. Okay, that no one could answer any questions I had, which is rather disappointing for me, a Western educated person. If it doesn't make sense, I have a hard time following it. And somehow I survived for 4 years. It's because of my parents were there. I couldn't leave. Okay. So anyway, but during the 4 years, even though I didn't learn anything, actually being in that environment where you eat 1 meal a day, you don't curse, you don't steal, you don't lie, all those things, actually purifying your mind. And the fact that we went to ceremonies and listened to his lectures every day, that helped purify the mind as well. Now you understand why. And I keep on telling you that Chan meditation is not necessarily just meditation. Okay, there's so many ways to practice Chan meditation, and the one thing that is irreplaceable is that if you purify your mind, doesn't matter who you are, whether you work in the kitchen, whether you sit in half lotus or you're lying down, but if you purify your mind, okay, then you're practicing Chan as well. So this monk here, Hui Yu, he practices precepts. Okay, so this is how we train our people. We give them the proper foundation of moralities. Don't do evil. You know what's bad? Don't do it. You know it's good? Then do it. Don't hesitate. When it's a good thing, don't hesitate. Like bringing tea for a good person. Ching, you know. That's doing something good. Okay? Not lying. That's stop doing something bad. That's meditation as well, folks. Does it help? You don't need to practice and cross your legs constantly. You're driving and someone cuts you off. Especially for you people in Chicago. That's what they do. They drive as soon as about half an inch of clearance, they cut right into you. Okay, and you have to slam your brakes. Okay, that's how they drive. Okay, in California, when you're driving in Chicago like that, it doesn't bother you anymore. First, it's scary. After a while, you get used to it. Okay, you make sure you check your brakes every morning before you get on the road. But in California, when people cut us off and get into our lane, we get very upset, don't we? We have road rage, we have shooting, we have all kinds of tantrums. We throw all kinds of tantrums. Okay, but if you know that and you know it's not a good thing to do, and you control yourself, you say no. I'm going to yield right now because this young girl, Sabina, is learning how to drive. Are you old enough to learn how to drive, honey? Not yet? Not much longer. Your parents have plenty of cars. And your dad in particular, honey, he has a Harley Davidson. No? He does not? Oh, horrible. What does he have? Doesn't he have a bike? Indian bike? Ooh, that's even better. Yes, Indian bikes are for men. Okay, so I recommend you go to try that. Okay, so you know that you are not supposed to lose your temper when people cut you off or are not courteous to you on the road. That is Chan meditation, folks. Conversely speaking, if you practice Chan, at home or at the temple, at your Chan place, Zen place, or whatever, wherever, and you practice for an hour, 2 hours, and you get on the road and get home, and someone cuts you off, and you lose your temper, everything you did for Chan went out the window, in other words. You see? So it continues. If you know better, then you don't want to do evil stuff. Okay? That's Chan meditation right there. And evil stuff, folks, it can be as simple as getting angry. Because when you're angry, you become an evil person. Agree or disagree? You manipulate people. You are an evil person. You're too smart for your own good. Okay? Especially when you manipulate your spouses. Okay? Remember that, honey. Don't manipulate your boyfriend. Do you have one? You're well trained. Okay, so precepts. Don't be disappointed with the word precepts. It's basically goodness, rules of goodness, conventions of goodness, of decency, which is what is the foundation of being a human being, folks. Okay? When you observe precepts, you keep precepts, you understand precepts, you observe precepts, then you are a good and decent human being. That means you are superior Chan materials. Okay? And he is, going back to the slide, he was also an attendant to the abbot. Okay? When you're an attendant of the abbot, it's also a privilege. Okay? So he's a very special individual. You're chosen to assist the abbot, who is the head honcho of the temple, is because you are pure enough to be able to do that. Can you imagine a person who stands next to the abbot, right behind the abbot, to cater to him, and he's keep on thinking and doing evil things? It doesn't mix, unless the abbot is evil himself. Okay? But I assure you, most Buddhist abbots are pretty decent people. Okay? He specialized in Avatamsaka Sutra. Wow, this sounds familiar, doesn't it? With this morning we talked about a Chinese monk, Venerable Meng Chan, second crown Bodhisattva. Okay, he passed away at the age of 105 or 2. Well, over 100 years old. Okay. Went through Chinese labor camp for 33 years. Okay, he practiced the Avatamsaka Sutra. Pretty impressive. And morning, evenings, he would burn incense and recite the Manifestations chapter, Chu Xianpin. That's one of the chapters of the Avatamsaka Sutra. It's interesting that he specialized in this manifestation chapter. Manifestation probably describes how the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas manifest themselves as living beings in order to cross them over. Okay, so, and suddenly he saw 10 Bodhisattvas gush forth from earth, with the golden body emitting light, seated on lotus days, palms together, listening to the Buddha recitation. So he was reciting his chapter apparently. He recited it every day. Okay, every day, morning, evening. Okay, he would offer incense and recited this particular chapter. Okay, and one day he suddenly saw 10 bodhisattvas pop up from the earth. Okay, with golden bodies. For some reason, the enlightened beings in Buddhism, they emit this golden hue. Okay, that's why statues are made of gold, have golden colors and so forth. And they're seated on lotus days. Bodhisattvas sit on lotus days. That's how they sit. They don't sit on tatamis, they don't sit on chairs, they sit on lotus days. And they're floating there, and that's what they do. Palms together, listening to the sutra recitation. They are bodhisattvas, but they're extremely respectful towards this bodhisattva. Even respectful towards a person, a monk, a lowly monk, if you will, who recited this chapter. Okay? So we're talking about not a great Dharma master, a high-level monk who recited this chapter of this Avatamsaka Sutra, but they're respectful towards the sutra itself, whether it's recited by a low-level monk, it doesn't matter. They show respect towards the sutra themselves. Okay? And in Buddhism, we show respect by putting your palms together and sitting upright, okay, and adorn. All right? And as the sutra as the monk finished reciting the sutra, they left. Okay? So this response here occurred because of the diligence of this particular monk, low-level monk, who knew not much except being a pure moral person, and he specialized in reciting this sutra. Okay? And when you recite sutras like this, number one, you further purify your mind. That's a form of Chan meditation, remember? When you recite sutras, it's also Chan meditation. Okay? And because he recited this sutra regularly, he was able to invoke this kind of response. So this is a kind of wonderful manifestation of this practice. The practice is this sutra. Okay? It's very encouraging to think about it, because any of us can be doing this. And you can do it. It could happen to you too. We're not talking about they become enlightened, open the wisdom or anything like that. All this monk did was to recite the sutra once in the morning, in the evening, and recited the chapter once in the morning, once in the evening. Questions or comments? Okay, and that's why it's recorded in the Buddhist records of this manifestation. That's why it's not surprising that in Buddhism, lots of monks and nuns practice reciting sutras, particularly this sutra. Okay, and not just this chapter alone, but practically any chapter you recite, like the way he does, will give you this type of manifestation, this type of miracle, you will. Wonderful response. The Chinese called it response. Okay, the Bodhisattvas and Buddhas respond to your sincerity and your vigor. See that? Don't say, how come I've been reciting and I'm seeing nothing? Because you're not vigorous enough, you're not assiduous enough, you're not doing it consistently enough. It's that simple. Okay? This monk didn't go into this hoping for a response. Like most of us would do that, because when we hear these things, some of us would decide to recite the sutras or the chapters and hoping for a response. Forget it, just recite. All right? 213. There's an elderly, which means this is a lay person, okay, older and respected for his virtues and his blessings. He cultivated this flower adornment sutra by reading and reciting it. Okay? So when you read it and you recite it, it reprograms your mind, by the way. Okay? So you read it regularly, it reprograms your mind. Number two, you narrow it into, let's say, particular specific chapters. Okay? Then actually you will get responses more frequently. Okay, and so he liked to read and recite this particular flower adornment sutra. It's very rare to find people who are willing to, who love to read or recite this particular sutra, because it's very difficult to understand. Okay, especially for us in our Dharma ending age, we are dependent on our thinking mind. If we don't understand, we really have a hard time mustering the courage or the consistency, the dedication, determination to keep on doing it daily. So it's very rare, okay, to be able to find people like that. This is way back then, where these people love to read and recite the sutra. So he decided to search for a place of cultivation. Okay, found that he needs something pure environment where he can have fewer distractions. Okay, it's funny, he didn't go to a temple. He found he tried to look for a place in the wilderness. Okay, away from the cities. It means that the monks and nuns in the temples in the big cities are not pure enough for him. Because how do you know? Because if you recite and read the sutra regularly, and your mind is different kind of mode, and you go to a temple, you see that it doesn't mix. Okay, you don't need to have any spiritual power. You can tell right away. You know, like you come here and you listen here, sit here for an hour or 2 hours, and you go back into, let's say, where can you go back to? It'd be your joint, okay? And you know there's a difference in energy right away, yes? Same thing. So he decided to look for a place of cultivation. Didn't like the temples in his area. So he met a tiger tigers are ferocious beasts, and actually these tigers, for some reason, were friendly toward him. Okay, so he asked the tiger, don't know when this happened, help me find a place where he can cultivate the flower adornment sutra. And the tiger seems to understand, so he nodded. Okay, seems to nod his head. Okay, and allowed somehow Li understood. So Mr. Li piled up his luggage on the back of the tiger. Okay, back then Chinese people, when they travel, they have the luggage. Okay, what is the luggage consist of? Bags. You put cloth bag like this, a square cloth big bag, you put things in there, you tie up the four corners. That's what I used to do too in Vietnam. I was growing up. Okay? Didn't have Samsonite back then. Okay? So you carry your luggage in bags, in cloth bags. So he would pile up this Li's gear on his back. So in a cloth bag probably has some clothes, some teapots, and the sutras, of course. Okay, and they travel 30 li. Li is about 13 miles. Okay, so they travel about 40, 50 miles. And they found a mountain cave. Can you imagine a tiger, carrying things? When you see tiger, usually you see the tiger ready to pounce on the prey. No, this tiger actually became a beast of burden. Okay, it carried the stuff. Okay, tiger's back are not designed to carry heavy stuff. It's supposed to be supple, so that it can pounce on you. Okay, with more force. Okay, so this tiger, okay, began to carry the gear of Mr. Li. And of course, the Flower Adornment Sutra is very, very heavy. It's made of paper, okay? And they found a mountain cave, and that's where he stayed to practice. Practice what? Reciting and reading the sutra, which is what? Another form of Chan meditation. Okay? And there's no water at all in the cave. What happens to cave? Cave have no plumbing. The evening, very strong wind arose and blew and uprooted an ancient pine tree. And water, not flower. I'm pretty sure it's water. Okay, so I apologize. I messed up. Water flow forth, and as this tree uprooted, the water flow forth from the ground, and that's how he got water. Okay, save a lot of money. Water bills here in California are outrageous. And I used to have an idiot disciple who installed some water filter. He did it wrong, so every day I wasted like 5-10 gallons of water for filtering water. And my water bill was killing me. I must owe him some money, clearly. Until David fixed it. So thank you, David. I owe you. So water flow forth, and this elder Li, practiced there, and he reached a certain understanding to the point where, meaning that he opened his wisdom by reading and reciting the sutra, to the point where he felt that he understood the sutra more than merely reciting the words. So he wrote a treatise on the Flower Adornment Sutra. Okay? Meaning that he's enlightened. Agree or disagree? If you go away from civilization and you confine yourself to a cave, to practice it, then you are no ordinary person. Okay? So, to me, this is a proof right here that should any of you decides to go away from civilization to practice, you can do the same thing and you can become enlightened. This is one Dharma door for enlightenment right here. It's too bad they didn't say how long you had to be there, okay? The kind of temperature differences. You know, if you were in Korea, where the temperature goes to extremes, extremely hot and humid in the summer, and extremely cold, deadly cold in the winter, I'm not sure you can stay outdoors in a cave like this. Okay. But anyway, this particular lay person, without any real training, any teachers, he practiced this particular Dharma door and he became enlightened. Trust me, a fourth stage Arhat would begin to have a little bit of wisdom and say, I know more than you, I understand more than you. I understand more than is on black and white on a piece of paper. That's when you start writing treatises. There's no pressure for you to publish or write something in order to get a promotion. And it's in the academia environment. But when you practice, you know. And that's when you say, when I understand this, I need to explain it, I need to share it with the next generation. Is it clear? That's wisdom right there, not vanity. Does it help? That's the difference. Okay. You see the difference is that this particular lay person was not looking for recognition. He's not looking for benefits. He just simply wanted to read and recite the sutra. So the foundation is there. If you're a lay person, you live like that, you have pretty good, darn good chances of becoming enlightened. And if you leave the home life and you're looking for notoriety and looking for fame and profit, it doesn't matter how long you do it, you will not make it. Is it clear? So these things, these stories here, you're supposed to learn from them. This is not like we tell you these miracles in order to impress you. It's for you to understand that why these things happen, what it takes to get the big prize. Not these small gains, like what? Getting a temple, getting more disciples, getting more donations, getting bibimbap. Those you who don't understand, bibimbap is a very famous Korean dish. Can't live without it, in my humble opinion. Questions or comments? See? So one day those of you who decided Master YongHua is a fake, is a phony, and he's no good, you can go to the mountain, find a tiger, get to the mountain, read the Flower Dormant Sutra. You yourself can become enlightened too. And then you remember me, say, I told you so. All right, next. Question? Yes, orange.
Master, is the best way to read the sutras, is it from the YouTube page or is it from certain books?
Read the sutra, okay? In order to read sutras, first of all, you need to find the proper source, the proper version. In particular, this is why Master Jingliang in particular, when he wrote his treatises, of this, his explanation, this sutra, he made very clearly, he understood where the various versions of the translation from Sanskrit into Chinese, where they came from. So these he did due diligence, you will. It's like the equivalent nowadays of getting a lawyer to read the fine prints for you, to know that this is correct. Okay? This is most precise. Okay, so that's why there's no substitute for the text that you use. So stick to the proper text. The translation is critical. Okay, later on, when we go to the areas where Master Jingliang would explain to you the various translation, how it went about. I ignored it because my interest is not in a scholarly thing. My interest is to help you become enlightened. Okay? Whether you decide to go to the cave and carry a version of this, make sure you carry a good version. That's the most important one. If you happen to go to a cave, I would not recommend bringing an iPad. Okay? You probably want to bring some kind of paper text, okay, and so forth. So it doesn't matter whatever format you want to bring. For here in the cities, I wouldn't mind use a Kindle, okay. Do whatever you think. But the most important thing, in my opinion, is the source, the source of the text. I would stick to the best sources available. They are not, you don't know what they are, okay? What I would do is look for versions from enlightened masters. Okay, so what we did is we simplify our lives by sticking to Master YongHua's versions, because I know my master's level is so high that he would not be wasting time talking to us, reading from this text, unless he knows it's the most accurate text possible. Okay? Furthermore, the translation, I didn't understand Chinese, so I don't understand Chinese. So I would look for a text that's a good translation, and his disciples happen to have done a great job translating into English. To me, it's the best English version available for you. Okay, it might cost you an arm and a leg, I'm told. It's like hundreds of dollars to get the incomplete English version, honey. Can you imagine? We can make a lot of money. Think about it. So to me, it's too bad. I would have given it away, because the printing is free. Everything they got is for free. There's lots of Chinese people, Taiwanese people, Malaysian people who are crazy about printing sutras. So when they hear you print the sutras, I didn't even print sutras, by the way. We're planning on printing the Medicine Master Repentance. And guess what? I'm so proud of this. It's so cool. I got $600 of donations already before we did anything. Impressive, don't you think? Huh? Think about it. It's not too late yet, by the way. We're still taking donations. But the point here is that these Mahayana people, when they hear, these Mahayana faithful, when they hear you printing sutras, they love it. They would give you donations. So my master's hard copies, they're all free. They should be given out free. Why make more money? Because then there are some people like in Eastern Europe, they cannot afford to pay several $100s for a set of sutra books in English. What are they going to do? Okay. So anyway, so I would get the hard copies from, if it's English, so Chinese the best. Before you go to the cave, learn Chinese. Okay? English is darn good, but it's not that good. Low level is okay. Higher level, I have some problems with their understanding. Yes, Orange.
I get this book. It's by Master YongHua, and it says this is the Flower Adornment Sutra.
Yes.
Chapter 13 and 14, I think.
Yeah, whatever. They're all good. Yeah, they're all excellent. Let me tell you, when it's printed in those hard copies, and they're the best deals available until ours become available. It's not fair, because they did the grunt work. We only change a few words here and there. Those few words, took a lot of efforts to change those few words. Trust me. Okay, so I don't hesitate to tell you that. If you want the Flower Adornment Sutra, okay, I would recommend you learn Chinese first of all. No substitute for that, okay? And take a version from Master Qingliang, number one. Number two, Master YongHua, okay? So you have the best of the wisdom right there. Don't bother anyone else, including mine. Forget it. Except for a little bit later. Right now, you can go on vacation. Okay, right now it's kind of appetizers. So I would recommend Master YongHua wholeheartedly, Chinese and English. Okay, and then Vietnamese, terrible. Not bad, but because I look at the people who work in the translation. That's what I gauge, the accuracy. You don't understand. You miss a few words here and there, a few sentences. You translate wrong. You ruin the meaning. You mess up people's cultivation. That is why back then, when the Chinese translated from Sanskrit into Chinese, they made sure that people were at least third stage arhat. If you're not third stage arhat, get out! Don't even touch it. Okay, who you are. You may have a PhD, whatever. We don't care. You're not third stage arhat, stay away from it. Okay? You're messing it up. Even third stage arhat, you still don't understand. But at least you're not as corrupt. Are you third stage? Okay. Don't translate. Okay. I'm very opinionated, you notice by now. Accuracy matters because it bothered me. It really bothered me when I was reading all these different texts in Vietnamese, in French, in English, and so forth. It really irked me. Yes, Red from North Korea.
네, 마스터 질문이 있습니다. 그 화엄경을 읽으려고 할 때 중국어를 한글 음으로 읽을 수는 있는데 사실 뜻을 잘 새기지를 못하는데 그럼에도 불구하고 그냥 음이라도 읽는 것이 괜찮은지 여쭤보고 싶습니다.
When I'm trying to read the Flower Ultraman Sutra, I can read the Chinese character in Korean, but I couldn't understand. I can't understand the meaning. So is it okay?
It's okay. Okay, if you can read Chinese, okay, and then if I were you, I would learn Chinese because right now I'm investing in you. You're basically a parasite. So take advantage of it. Okay, I'm willing to let you be parasite of me for the next 2 or 3 decades, so that you better prepare. Okay, and we need to invest in a future generation. It doesn't happen overnight. We need to have consciously invest, like Anna invested in her baby. Okay, and have to give her 18 years. I have to give you. No, that's too long. 10 more years. Okay? So that's why take advantage of it and learn Chinese. If any of you come to me and say, hey, I want to learn Chinese, I say, okay. And it costs so much, I say, okay, I'll give you $50 a month. All of you. You can take any Chinese classes, it only costs $50 a month. Okay? So anyway, my point here is that if you want to learn, I would learn Chinese, okay? And you're not at a level where you can translate yet. You have to be at least third stage arhat or higher before you should look into it, okay? But right now, your level is low. Learn Chinese. That's what I would do, okay? Because in the future, most of you will be able to surpass third stage arhats. That's when your translations and your interpretation will be a lot more accurate than lower level people. If you're low level people who are not a third stage arhat, you are below third stage arhats, I don't bother looking at your translation. Can I put it that way? I know it's offensive to most people who have PhDs from great institutions. I've never been impressed by a PhD from great institutions. I have yet to see one who impresses me with their wisdom. Okay? Why am I so offensive? I just have a bad childhood. My master deserted me. Okay? How would you like it when your own father died on you as soon as he gives birth to you? Huh? You never recover from it. Anyway. Okay? So, especially for you Koreans, I would love for you Koreans, I would like to invest you, if you like to invest in learning Chinese, I wholeheartedly support it. Because why? Because I'm having some problems with the Pure Land Handbook translation. Okay? There's some Korean editors who are very competent editing the Buddhist text. But so far, the Buddhist texts that they've been translating are Hinayana texts. They don't understand Mahayana texts, number one. Number two, they have no samadhi power, so it's a double jeopardy. Forget it, I'm not interested in their translations at all, unless I have to work with them line by line, or my disciples have to work with them line by line, period. Is that clear? That's the way it is. Same thing, you want to translate Vietnamese, you want to translate into Swiss? What do Swiss people talk? Language do they use? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Okay? You better have samadhi power, and you better have, what else do you have? Either you work with the Chinese language or you work with us. Okay? So that's why, be careful. To me, accuracy matters. You'll be sorry if you keep on filling up your mind with garbage translations. Okay? All right. Does it help? Okay. I know all of you, all you Koreans will eventually left home people will be third stage arahats are higher. You're still young enough, so we invest in you. So that's when you reach that levels, that's when you want to go into translation. But until then, learn Chinese. Don't go to English translation, preferably. Okay? Was that clear? That's the same thing. I'm investing in Abbott. I try and encourage him to learn both Korean and Chinese. You see, double jeopardy. He's an Abbott, so he's supposed to work harder. Is that clear? You're serious. You have to learn Chinese. This is the highest level of Mahayana text that I know of. All right? There's no substitute for that. If you're serious about this, whether it's translation or whether you want in the future to become a specialist or a great Dharma master, there's no substitute for you. For the Chinese texts. No replacements. Why would you want, you Koreans, why would you want to go to English translation or Vietnamese translation, whatever? Go to the source. Spy number one. Great.
Mô Phật bạch thầy. Bạch thầy nói dịch cái kinh điển mà thầy cái phiên 5 bằng 7 lượt, thầy cũng nói là phải đọc học cái chữ tiếng Tàu, là cái tiếng Tàu đó nó chính xác là đọc những cái kinh Tàu đó là có cái người bảo vệ cho những cái tiếng Hoa. Giống thầy đó là thầy ngồi thiền, dạy ở đây thầy mở một cái khóa để ngồi thiền, thầy đã bảo vệ những xung quanh những người này hết. Đó. Thầy con nghe thầy nãy giờ thuyết về cái thuyết cũng lâu rồi, nói về mà cái đọc cái tiếng Tàu á, thầy giống mình hay cái cố gắng học cái tiếng Tàu, thầy nó có cái người bảo vệ mà mình có cái sáng suốt, nó cái trí huệ nó đã vượt lên được. Mà không biết theo con nghĩ, theo nghe thầy thuyết gì đó, thầy con hiểu như vậy mà không có đúng hay sao, đúng không đúng? Mô Phật.
Master, you've been advised us to read the text, sutra text in Chinese. Earlier today, you said that when you, for example, when we have a meditation class, and then people come and you provide protection. So my understanding is when you read the text in Chinese, then you also have protection, and then you can open up your wisdom. So is my understanding correct?
Yes, it's a lot more than that. Let me explain to you. This is reality right now. When you learn Chinese, the Chinese text, okay, you learn to read. You're learning to try to understand the original text in Chinese, written by Master Qing Liang, by Master Tan Xu, by Master YongHua, by Master so and so and so. Okay, those are the great Bodhisattvas who came to China to teach. So that's why you want to read them in the original teaching yourselves, without going through any filters, any translation. You want that. It's nothing better than that. Agreed. So far, so good. When you translate it, it's a filtering process already. Okay? It's not the same as reading in Chinese. Okay? And of course, when you read in Chinese, you know what's going to happen? Those enlightened beings will be assisting you. Believe it or not, they know that you want to learn their teachings, and they are maneuvering to help you. That's what the protection is referring to. You read Master YongHua's text in Chinese. Okay? In English, no guarantee. In Chinese, I assure you, he'll be watching. Oh, look at that. He's reading my stuff. Yeah. Really, he's so excited. Yeah. Okay, that's the disciple of Master YongHua right there. Oh, yeah. More brownie points for YongHua. Never mind, that's not the point. The point here is that he says, yeah, that's my baby right there. I'm going to arrange to protect him. I'm going to arrange for him to be able to benefit from my teaching because he believes in my teaching. He wants to get the wisdom I'm transferring to him through my teaching. So he's going to assist you. You can bet on that. Okay? Remember, I'm not talking about just anyone. I'm talking about one person. Okay? He's short, he's Chinese, and he's dead. Okay? It's true. You don't like it? But it's true. He's short. He's evil. So you see, so he's, towards me that is, not towards you, but he's, I will never let him forget that. So he's very excited. He says, I spent 50 years of my life in the US and brought this Dharma here. I'm glad someone is taking it seriously. And someone who says, there's value, hidden treasures in my Chinese teaching. That it takes an idiot like me to say, yeah, that's a treasure right there, much better than the English translation, bar none. Whether it's theirs or ours, it's nowhere near the level of accuracy, of excellence that in the original Chinese that he has. It's the truth. Same thing as that. That's why I don't hesitate to say it's the truth as well as he's short. It's the same truth, a different kind of truth. You see that? So that's why he can't blame me for speaking the truth. Okay, so anyway, are you comfortable? The Chinese system, you don't lean back when you listen to the sutras. You're not supposed to be comfortable. No sincerity. Okay, so yes, so when you read, I encourage you, read Master Hsien Hua's teaching in Chinese. Okay? It's the best way to learn Chinese. It's the best way to learn the Dharma, bar none. Okay? In terms of Chinese Mahayana text, he's the best. Next level, I'm not talking about all the other patriarchs, I don't care. Next level, 6th patriarch, high level. No two ways about it. Okay? Xu Yun, yeah. I wouldn't bother reading Xu Yun. Okay? Because his level is nowhere near Master Hsien Hua's level. So clearly, you read for our, we're very fortunate we have this Chinese monk here who spent 50 years to bring his teachings here in our country, make it available totally. Okay? And another thing that irks me, besides that charging for the sutras that are free to them, is that they have a mountain of tapes in the CTTB in the library that's not available to anyone. So it's absolutely inaccessible to the people who have more wisdom than they do. That to me is insulting. Shouldn't be making those decisions themselves because they have no wisdom. Okay? So learn it in Chinese, read in Chinese, and you find out that you will not be able to understand, including a Chinese. You go and ask a Chinese, this character, you explain to me what it means. But what it means in context of Mahayana, they will not be able to tell you. Right now, I can't think of any Chinese in China or outside of China who can understand what those characters mean. Unless they're here in the US. That's a clue. Okay? If they're outside the US, they won't be able to understand it. In the US, maybe. It cuts down on your waste of time. Don't go to China and try to understand. Don't go to Vietnam. Don't go to Zen land. You know what I mean? Okay. I'm not done yet. I'm getting excited. I'm just warming up. But the point here is that, yes, you have this great monk here by the name of Hsien Hua. You should be reading it, his text and his explanation in Chinese. And read the Vietnamese and, don't read Vietnamese. Read English and so forth because it helps you understand a little bit and it helps your English, improve your English. But eventually, his Chinese teachings, okay, the Chinese don't understand anymore, unfortunately. They don't. They understand the language, but they don't understand the Dharma anymore. That's why you come in. You have to practice so that you understand the Dharma behind those Chinese characters. It's more than cultural. There's a Dharma, Buddhist Dharma door there that only the Buddhist monks and nuns understand. Not lay people, not anyone. Except for one lay person I can think of. Okay? As an exception, I'm not going to mention the name. Yes, gray, and then you have one person back there.
Mô Phật bạch thầy, trong ngày Thiên Hóa qua tới nước Mỹ này để là một cái đại thừa qua bên nước Mỹ này là sư phụ đó thì bảo vệ những người đã có nhân duyên với sư phụ thì sư phụ sẽ bảo vệ. Rồi những người mà không có nhân duyên đó thì sư phụ cũng trồng một cái duyên lành cho những người đó, là không biết chừng nào cái duyên đó nó mới nằm bằng nở mình không có biết. Xong á, là ngày đó qua tới nước Mỹ này đó là có giúp nhiều ít gì cho cái đất nước Mỹ này không, là thứ nhất. Thứ hai nữa đó là Lục Tổ Huệ Năng là một người đắc đạo ở bên Trung Quốc, thầy nó có bảo vệ được một cái Trung Quốc trường tồn không thầy? Mô Phật.
Now we go in the gossiping part.
Thầy nói bây giờ là Master YongHua brought the Mahayana to the U.S. So he particularly protect those who had affinity with him, and those who doesn't have affinity with him, he will plant the seed so that in the future those who are affinity will sprout. So the thing is, I wonder that the fact that he came to the U.S. does it help to protect the U.S. country? And then same thing, the sixth patriarch. He was born in China. Does he protect China for the country eternally last?
Yeah, for a while. It's not forever. Of course. Master YongHua has protected this country in order to help it propagate Mahayana in this country as well as throughout the world. So it has to depend on this system to do that. Same thing in the sixth patriarch back then needed the help in order to have an environment for his future generations to propagate the Dharma. Yes, so yes, absolutely. But it's not their jobs, though, to protect the country. The fact that when you have an enlightened being like him, like them, who decided to go to the country and live there, that in itself is protection. Okay? Protection against natural disasters, protection against wars, protection, all those things. But that's not why they're there. Okay. Yes, White.
Master, for those English speaker who doesn't understand Chinese, by merely listen to the voice of Master YongHua, would they plant a blessing?
Yes. When you hear the recitation, especially of Master YongHua, okay, recitation, whatever his recitations are, you're getting the best seats possible. You're reading his text, it's getting the best seats possible. Bar none. Okay? Understanding is overrated. Okay, you don't need to understand. Eventually you will. For 4 years, every night I would listen to his lectures for 1.5 hours and getting frustrated because as you listen to the lecture, I had so many questions. I said, why does he say so? And these cowards left 10 minutes at the end of the lecture for you to ask questions. And you manage to ask a question, they say, I don't know. And they give you garbage. Okay? So to me, it's very annoying. It's detrimental to the propagation of Dharma. Instead of doing that, just say, I don't understand. It's dishonest to me. Okay? My master is about honesty. I understand the Dharma, I don't understand the Dharma. He says, I understand half of it. I don't understand 100% himself. Nothing shameful about that. That's all you know, that's all you have. Say so. YouTube has a question.
Tian Guo asks, Master, do you recommend reading the Chinese Avatam or Master Xunhua's Sutra explanations and Dharma talk?
I would read Master Jingliang's version first, but it's very difficult to understand. I read that, I then would read Master Xunhua's explanation in Chinese. That's what I would do. This person seems to be Chinese, so she has an edge over us. However, her edge is very short-lived because it's only words. Our edge over her is because our edge is based on samadhi. For you to understand the Dharma, you have to have samadhi. That's why I train you to develop samadhi first. And while you develop samadhi, I will invest in you learning about the language. Not the other way around. Once you learn the language, it's much harder for you to develop samadhi. Because you become fool yourself. I have a PhD. I know more about Chinese than you. Yes, you do. But I know more about the Dharma than you. The Dharma is not a dictionary. The Dharma is something that is spoken for you only. It's not meant to be a dictionary. You want to have a dictionary? Look it up. Fo Guang Shang dictionary, all kinds of dictionaries. They cannot tell you how to cultivate. They cannot tell you how to become enlightened. The Dharma is transmitted is in order to help you become enlightened. No other reason. So you know a lot of text, you know a lot of words. How does it help me become enlightened? I'm scarily blunt. You say all those things. How does it help me become enlightened? You build temples. How does it help me become enlightened? How does it help my mother become enlightened? How does it help my mother from suffering? Just get to the heart of it. Stop beating around the bush. Yes, orange.
Master, a couple of times I felt like there were angels in my room, and then somebody on the Chan Zoom class said that there were Dharma protectors. But what are Dharma protectors?
Dharma protectors are like your bodyguards. Presidents, they need bodyguards, otherwise they can't be presidents. You cultivate, you need bodyguards, otherwise you can't be a cultivator. For example, when you practice hands and eyes, they'll come and stop you because they don't want you to develop the skills to harm them. So they have to stop you right now. And they can't do that because we send Dharma protectors to protect you at your home, in your wilderness, when you practice that Dharma. Okay? So it's like here. They try to break into my temple. And they can't. They're afraid. Because there's something called the police. That they are our Dharma protectors. Remind me we should send them some Christmas gifts. We appreciate them more and more. Show some appreciation for the Dharma protection. Anything else? Yes, great.
Mô Phật bạch Thầy, Đức Phật dạy, giống Thầy bây giờ Thầy dạy cho cái Pháp cho chúng con để học. Rồi đó, Thầy dạy cái Pháp để chúng con học. Chúng con Thầy đã làm một cái chánh tả phải không? Để cho cái câu đáp cho những người học trò để đáp cái tiếng Việt không mấy gì biết nói, tiếng Tàu thầy con thầy gành biết không? Thì một cái sự mà giống bây giờ chúng con là học sinh, rồi thầy đã ra một cái chính tả để cho chúng con đáp lại, coi cái chính tả đó có đúng hoặc sai, gọi là có bài cái kiểm tra mà không biết phải đúng gì không. Tụi con hiểu thầy tiếng Việt thầy không mấy gì gành, mà thầy con nghe thầy thuyết đó, thầy con giống Đức Phật đã tới thế giới này cũng là biết bao nhiêu ngàn năm rồi, để cho ra những cái kinh điển để cho ta học rồi để cho người ta không phải là học theo cái lời của Đức Phật, mà có ở trong có nhiều cái bao hàm để cho mình giác ngộ, mà những người không ấy học suông vậy thôi. Thì mình nghe người ta thuyết pháp đồ này kia hay quá chừng hay đi á, con là cũng nghe được 10 mấy 20 năm rồi á, mà con nghe rồi đó không biết, nghe hay quá không biết cái gì hết. Thầy cứ tối ngày cứ hay hoài, mà mình nghe Đức Phật không phải dạy mình như vậy, dạy mình là phải có một cái giống lục tổ huệ năng. Nghe rồi một cái đó là lục tổ huệ năng, đọc những một cái câu tháp đáp ra đó là kinh không có chữ. Mô Phật. Con nói thôi không có gì được xuông câu, mà con có cái hiểu ý đó là giống tiếng Tàu vậy đó. Thầy con biết, mà cái gạch ra tiếng Việt thầy con không mấy gì lưu lót thầy. Mô Phật. Thầy miễn mà nghe được thì thầy phải nói lại một cái câu cho nó suôn sẻ, cho người ta nghe thuận tai. Rồi mà giống Quảng Ngân nói không có được thuận tai đó, thì người ta nghe Quảng Ngân nói cái chuyện mà hơi ngạo mạn, hơi cái này cái kia đó, con cũng nghe rất là nhiều. Bởi vì con ở ngôi trường nào đó thì con không nghe thôi là con ấy thôi, chứ con không muốn đối đáp những cái giống như thầy ở đây dạy vậy. Thầy dạy người ta, thầy muốn bảo vệ cái những người đó. Mô Phật.
Master, she said a lot, but then because whatever she tried to explain is not very clear because her Vietnamese is not good. But basically, she said that the Buddha has a lot of teaching, and then it has the Dharma to teach people to attain enlightenment. But nowadays, she heard a lot of monks that speaking Dharma is so well, and then she liked it, and then she said, "Oh, they speak so well," but then she couldn't understand anything. And she said, like, to study is not only just reading the words, but it needs to be something more than that, similar to the sixth patriarch. He heard only one sentence, and then he attained enlightenment. And she said that she apologized that whatever she says is not very clear, and if Master understand her intention, please rephrase it so that everybody can understand better.
Let me give you a general guidelines on the problems with speaking Dharma nowadays. Okay, nowadays we have monks and nuns who speak Dharma too soon. They have no wisdom, and yet they speak Dharma. When you realize yourself you have no wisdom, I'm talking about prajna wisdom, not just about knowledge about Buddhism. Anyone can have knowledge about Buddhism. Just read about 100 books on Buddhism, you have knowledge. Yes? But do you have wisdom? You have Buddhist wisdom. That's the main thing. You speak Dharma in order to help people develop wisdom. Remember, prior example, prior manifestation, this elderly Li on slide 213, he practiced for a long, long time until he realized he has some wisdom to be shared, not just knowledge. Is that clear? So what happens nowadays is that the young people, the young monks and nuns, okay, I went through that phase myself. I said, I need to leave something for posterity. Okay, so what do? Typically, we build temples. Typically, we gauge our success on how many followers, how many books we publish. And that's worldly standards. In Buddhism, we gauge you by the wisdom, your samadhi, by your purity. That's it. Okay? It's not about temples, not about money, it's not about your fame. Okay? So if you start out as a monk and nun with that premise, well, you're doing all this in order to become famous, in order to get money to build a temple, you're doomed. You're destined for failure, guaranteed. Is that clear? If you are motivated by recognition and money and temples and so forth, you will not succeed because you are corrupt. Corrupt mind cannot understand Buddhism. Corrupt mind cannot develop wisdom. Okay, so that's why young people, nowadays, because it's the nature of the times, they speak Dharma too soon. They seek Dharma before they're certified to have wisdom. You don't declare yourself to have wisdom. Rule of thumb, don't speak Dharma until your good new advisors tell you to speak Dharma. You speak Dharma before that, you're in big trouble. And when I'm talking about good new advisor, it has to be an enlightened person, not just your shifu, or your famous shifu, or your rich shifu. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about certifiably reliable people, enlightened people. The Chinese have that system. And we have to follow that model in our era, especially in the Western world. We need to have certifiable students, certified teacher to speak the Dharma. So again, rule of thumb, don't speak the Dharma until a certified teacher tells you to. Otherwise, forget it. You're polluting the Dharma. You're not helping. Okay? Even when you're certified and you speak the Dharma, okay, you don't assume you understand everything. You're under training only. I tell my disciples to start speaking the Dharma because I want to train them how to speak the Dharma. Because I was never trained to speak the Dharma. So I'm trying to save them time. Okay? So we need to have, unfortunately, since Master YongHua died, the first American patriarch died, the second American patriarch still has to reveal himself or herself, whoever that person is. Okay? So we don't have a chance to have certified teachers anymore, unfortunately. So in that case, if you don't have certified teachers, don't decide to speak Dharma yourself. Keep learning until someone certifies you. Don't certify yourself. Keep learning about the sage from the sages. That's why I keep on sharing with you, repeatedly share with you the sources where you can learn from the sages. Master YongHua is a great sage. The known Chinese patriarchs are certified sages. You cannot go wrong. Don't listen to me. I'm not a sage. Okay? But eventually, we need to have a system where the Dharma speakers are certified by certified people, not by a degree. That's why I'm taking a stand. I took a stand. I said, I have no respect for scholars. Because they don't know what they're talking about. They have no wisdom. They have knowledge, but they have no wisdom. Wisdom takes decades to develop, not by reading. There's certain ways of developing wisdom that's not done in academia world. That's why you need left from people like us. We hold the keys to how to develop your practice wisdom. That's not transmitted to academia. They don't have it. We have it. They don't. And what happens nowadays? People are impressed by monks and nuns who have PhDs. And what happens, these monks who have PhDs, is that they fail miserably. But they cannot handle success. They become too popular, have too much money. Because they have no wisdom, they cannot handle their success. That's why go back to the basics. Learn from the enlightened sages. That's your best bet. Yes, Joe Mountain.
Rushu asks, I play Master's morning ceremony MP3 files for my children before they fall asleep or early in the morning. Would it be helpful for them?
Yes. You planted the seeds of Mahayana in them. Okay? I apologize, I offend some of you because you have faith and are believers in your teachers. I don't mean to insult anyone. And what I said is for the sake of the future generation and your sake as well. You don't understand this, chances are that you're walking the wrong path. Okay? Learn from enlightened teachers. You not show up by enlightened teachers. Learn from the patriarchs. That's the safest bet. Okay? And what happens is once you have enough wisdom, once you showed your sincerity, the good teachers will spot you and say, come, stay here. Don't go away, stay here. That's what Master Huineng did for his disciples. He said, stay here. Don't go away. Stop wandering around and waste your life. Until then, learn from the sages. Don't trust anyone. Sorry, that's the way it is. Instead of putting garbage in your mind, put the good stuff. YouTube.
Tian Guo asks, Master, I heard Master Xunhua was encouraging his disciples to speak Dharma and to translate. How do we understand this compared to your comment of venerables speak Dharma too soon or translate?
Master Xunhua told his disciples he has his reasons, so they're doing the right things. It's consistent with what I just said. What I also said is I raised the standards. I said, yes, he encouraged his disciples, those specific disciples, he says, you should be speaking the Dharma, you should be translating. Did he tell you? Did he tell me? He didn't tell me to translate. That's why I don't translate. That's the flip side of it. Right? You see, you're extrapolating excessively. He said, you translate, you speak the Dharma. It's not me, it's not you. It's very specific individuals. Those people should be speaking the Dharma. Those people should be translating. Those people should go to their PhD programs because they're ready. My comments are more generalized. I say in general. Unless someone, your good advisor, tells you to, then it's okay to do. If no one tells you, then stick to something safe. Okay? Stop wasting time. Stop hoarding garbage. Because to me, I read a good number of papers, master's theses, okay, and listen to the PhD people speak the Dharma. I stayed in a temple from a teacher in Taiwan who taught Buddhism in the number 2 university in Taiwan. Okay, and let me tell you, I had to go listen to him once a week for 2 hours. You know what? It's all garbage. I had to patiently sit there because I had to, for free rent. Okay? But it's total garbage. How bad it is. This is a famous monk who has PhD, okay, who teaches PhD programs, who's famous. He gets on TV and everything. And to me, his Dharma is garbage. How do I know? He told me, you come to me, you bow to me as teacher, I will pay for your PhD programs. You can learn anything you want, I pay for it. I said, yes, but I'm not a good student. I hate going to school. He says, how could you say that? Go to school. And after you get our PhD, I give you everything you want. What do you want? Temples? Cars? You know how much I'm worth? 20 millions, boy. This is 30 years ago, 40 years ago. I'd be rich by now. You know that? Later, he inherited his uncle's empire in Europe, which is another 40 way places throughout Europe. Okay, think about it, boys and girls. We could be in Europe by now, instead of being here in this piss poor place. Huh? But I look at him and said, that's not the Dharma? I need to give up my soul for this? That would be an insult to my teacher, the short monk who taught me. If he didn't teach me, I would have bowed to the other guy. See my problem, my dilemma? So I'm stuck with short Chinese monks. Yes, anyone else? It's not my fault that I'm poor and stupid. Yeah, he told me to follow where the money is and where the temples are. We'd be so happy right now, all of us. Huh? You got to travel, to Asia, to Europe, following me around, It'd be so wonderful. But what do you want? You want fame, recognition, or you want to be enlightened? Huh? There's a price to pay for enlightenment. Anyone else? Yeah, they all asleep. Oh, that woman, the troublemaker. Yes, Gray.
Đức Phật thì con muốn, chứ lấy cái Phật mà thế gian thì con không muốn nữa thầy. Tại vì đời mình khổ quá. Mô Phật.
Master, I want the certificate from the Buddha, not the certificate from people, because my life is full of suffering already.
Well, we all have the same reaction to it. We all suffer. We all miserable. We suffer more every day than we have fun. True? This is my experience. Every day I was all suffering until I meditate. Then it's fun. Okay? That's life. So actually, it's a reflection on the nature of our existence. And you have to decide for yourself, what do I do about it? You lay people are different from us. We love from people, we give up our secular lives because we want to do full-time something about it, something about it full-time. Yeah. That resolve that riddle, resolve that problem. Okay? And of course, we also have Dharma doors for lay people as well. But I'm very conservative. It has to be someone with a track record, or Master Shenhua, who had enlightened disciples, monks and nuns, as well as enlightened lay people, disciples as well. So, the track records are very important. It's not talk. You have to show me results before I believe you. That's all I ask, show me results. Same thing for you. Yes, Q&A.
Master, I remember a while back you mentioned that layperson, when they're enlightened, they're just like a Sangha member. Was that right?
The lay people who are enlightened, the Master Shenhua disciples, the Guo, my generation, have lay people I know who are enlightened. Some of them are not even his disciples as well. So I know, it's funny, but as of today, the lay people are high level than his left home people disciples. This fact is very plain to me. Okay, meaning he does not discriminate from lay people versus left home people. You have potential, you be taught, you be trained. The Dharma door doesn't, the Dharma Mahayana does not discriminate lay people or left home people. It's just different pathways, that's all. Okay? And you taught because you deserve to be taught.
I think I was wondering about the aspect of something about the enlightened layperson. They are effectively similar to a Sangha member in some way.
Yes, in my mind, enlightened people are a different class of people. There's no more distinction whether it's men or women, whether they are lay people or left home people. Okay? So to me, they are the same. However, up to a certain point, the things, for example, where enlightened lay people are not supposed to do, they're not supposed to teach the Dharma. Because the Buddha said so. For example, if I have enlightened lay people, disciples, I would not teach them how to speak the Dharma. It's not their jobs. It would be a waste of my time to tell you, to train them to do something that they won't do at all. Okay? So that's right. I don't discriminate whether they're lay people and left home people once you are enlightened, whether you're a man or woman. Doesn't matter to me anymore. Okay? So my interpretation of Buddha's teaching is that Dharma, the Fa Yi Seng Chuan, Seng there, okay, Seng there to me is both monks and nuns, enlightened monks and nuns. Okay, that's how I work. So my job is to help people become enlightened and let the monks and nuns, enlightened monks, nuns, speak the Dharma and teach you. Okay? And that's what I call education. My masters, when I was there, he says one of the things he tasks us to do is education, because Master YongHua says, I came to the US to improve education. That I look at education differently the way that they do. They look at education as opening a high school, elementary school, or university. To me, that's low-level education. I worry about high-level education. I worry about your education as a monk or a nun, your education as your father, as a mother, as a husband, as a wife, as what happened to my little princess, as a daughter. That to me, that's what education is about. It's not about a degree. Education is number one to me. As long as we hear education, to me, number one is listening to the proper principles, the proper Dharma. Number two, education is about changing yourself in order that you are the embodiment of the Dharma, not just words, not just characters on paper. You live the Dharma like our fundamental teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha, taught the Dharma by living, by example. That's education to me. You teach by being, not by talk. Number three, education to me is to keep on improving. Don't stay at the same spot. Keep improving. That's your job, to educate yourself. If you're at the level where you have wisdom, you have to keep on educating yourself and seeking a good knowing advisor. And finally, education is making sure that your wisdom is not discontinued. You need to give it to someone else so that it doesn't discontinue, so that we build upon you more and more and more instead of regressing like losers. That's to me what education means. It's not a school. It's not teachers. It's about you. It's an attitude. It's not degrees. It's about you, about your mind, your children's mind. It's progressive. It's not limiting. Education is supposed to be limitless. That's what I understand from my master's emphasis on the education. It's not being done. It's lost. But they're very good at translation. Other than that, to me, it's not good enough. Yeah, go back and tell your masters that I said so. Spy number 2. I'm not scared of them. That's what matters. It's not personal at all. Why are we doing this? It's to benefit people. It's not about ourselves. You can tell her, you're a bad person, you're a bad person, you're not a good person, I'm better than you. Since when is Buddhism about, you and me? Buddhism has always been about her, about the Koreans, about the Vietnamese, about, the Khotanese, about the Chinese, about everyone else but us. Agree? It's COVID-19. It's about COVID-19. You can't even handle COVID-19, so scared of your life, and you close your temple and say, don't come and infect me. What good are you? You afraid of COVID-19? Oh, please. And that's why. But no, this famous monk, no. We Westerners have different standards, don't we? It's based on facts. What have you done? What have you produced? That's what matters to us, no? The Chinese, the Asian, oh no, lots of people follow him, he's famous and so forth. Who cares? What's in it for me? You're famous, I'm happy for you. You have a lot of money, you have a lot of disciples, I'm happy for you. But what does it do for me? What can you do for me? That's how Westerners judge us. That's how your children judge us. Have you noticed, and how come most successful parents, their children are so horribly unsuccessful? Because they never put emphasis on the education. That's why I love Master Shenhua's wisdom. Education, education, education. But not the way that's been implemented. Jewel Mountain has a question.
Rushu asks, you mentioned that there's a price to pay for enlightenment. What's the price?
More than you can afford, honey. You find out. The nice thing about enlightenment is that if you're interested, you walk that path, you'll be presented with choices for you to say, am I willing to pay that price or not? So it's a personal decision that, for example, you lay people say, no, I'm not willing to pay because I love my son. I'm not impressed with my husband, but I love my son. I love my mother. Okay? So I can't in other words, I can't let go of my son. I can let go of my husband, but I cannot let go of my son. I can't let go of my father. So you're not willing to make the sacrifice. That's the sacrifices that you find out. Okay? So that's why, now you see why the left-wing people have an advantage already. They're not burdened by family relationships. Cut them off! What husband? What children? What mother? The sixth patriarch sacrificed what? His own mother. See how cruel he can be? Who's willing to sacrifice your own mother? Huh? I ask you. You're a southerner. You're not the same. Doesn't count. YouTube, go ahead.
Tian Guo asks, can Master talk about the concept of Sangha treasure? There is a saying that Sangha treasure is not just monastics, but includes true cultivators or enlightened laypersons.
Good for them. I don't understand that concept. I only know how to help people become enlightened. I don't care about those concepts, whether it's true triple jewel or fake triple jewel, too complicated. I only say, personally, I say, I'm glad you're a true triple jewel. I'm glad you're a pure monk. I'm glad you're a superior monk. How does it help me? What do you have for me? How much you have to pay? Q&A.
Master,
you guys are so naive. You say, oh, it's wonderful. It's called the Nirvana Mountain, Enlightenment Mountain. Come and have a good time. For me, he said, how do I get there? What does it take? I go, if I want to drive a nice car, I have to pay for it. Yes? I don't expect it to be free unless it's from my wife. You got that? Amen. Okay? It's a male revolution. We're the weaker sexes now. You get used to it. Okay? Better get used to it. Women are better than us. Look at it. So many female CEOs now who are billionaires. Okay? Oh. Yes, Q&A.
Master, it sounds like it's an impossibility for a layperson to reach enlightenment if they have to still be lay people and then somehow they're supposed to become detached from their family.
Good point, but I can't answer that. Do I look like I have all the answers? Huh? Yeah, don't answer that. I'm just a salesman, a cheap salesman. I don't know. But you won't find out until you give it a try. My point here is that it doesn't matter who you are, if you want it badly enough, it's going to happen. Question is whether you want it badly enough. Okay? That's the great news. There's nothing that you cannot do. You are stopping yourself, that's all. You don't want it badly enough. I remember my younger days when I was chasing women. It's nothing I would stop until I succeeded. Okay, it's the same kind of passion, if you will, even more. Can you relate to that? See what I mean? Huh? The difference is that, never mind, it becomes too insulting. Let's move on. Okay, of course it's possible. It's well worth it. Yes, anyone else? Anything else? Yes, purple.
And to something. I don't get it. You said according to you, I think when Venerable Heng Liang, which is Martin now, was an enlightened or is an enlightened being. But if he was an enlightened being as a monastic, why would he go back to lay life?
Who?
Martin. The formerly Heng Liang.
Right? Heng Chao.
Or Heng Chao. Yeah. Why would he go back to lay life?
He's a loser. Enlightened people have losers too.
Does that mean they run out of blessing or what?
See, I can get very insulting. Don't encourage me.
Does that mean he's running out of blessing or what is it?
Who cares? Since when do I care? The only answer I can give you is that God works in mysterious ways.
But Daniel is not here today.
Huh?
But the cat is not here to hear that.
Who's not here? Who cares? We say it because we say it. We don't need people to hear it. It's just among ourselves. It's a small group of 5-10 people. You are like a cult. Okay? That's called a spade a spade. Okay? You're a cultist. What are you doing? This is Saturday afternoon. What's the matter with you? You have nothing else to do? You're real losers. I would be, playing football, go shopping, wear my mask and go anywhere else but here. No, what do? You sit here and take abuse from me. It's not right. And there are 4 Koreans in Korea doing the same thing. There's something wrong with all of you. Okay, it's not. By the way, it's not making sacrifice. You hear me? It's because there's something wrong with you. Why do you gossip? Who cares if he returns to lay life or not? Who cares? Why does it matter to you? I don't get it.
Because Master said monastic life is super good. It's the way to go for enlightenment. So if you were level 1 or 2 enlightenment already, wouldn't you want more enlightenment and go further?
It's because my master probably didn't train him properly. We're different. We have this ideal. My level disciples, there are 2 kinds. There are gatekeepers, and there are gladiators. The gladiators, they love to go out and kill. It makes the blood boil. It makes them happy. My gatekeepers, they're happy being inside the 4 walls. Nothing wrong with that. Okay? I would take my gladiators and pit them against his disciples any day. They're trained to be gladiators. They love the smell of your blood. And that's why they're doing it. Why would they stop doing that? I mean, going back to what? A husband? Yuck. Money? Nothing. Once you got the smell, there's no replacement. The blood. Does it help? You have a way of making me become so excitable. YouTube, go ahead.
Tian
It's her
Guo
fault.
asks,
She's a spy number 2. Now you know why I call her spy number 2. They hear because they have some, scheming up to no good. Good YouTube question.
Tian
Do I
Guo
sound
asks,
like Richard? Oh, it's never my fault. That's what happens when you don't like someone so much that you end up becoming like them. Go ahead, YouTube.
Tian Guo asks, if we want it bad enough, is it possible to achieve Buddhahood in this lifetime?
I don't know. Probably not. The reason being that if you ask me, then it's too late for you. Buddhas, when they come to our world in order to become a Buddha, they have that already. They don't ask about that. Does it make sense? Buddhas never question themselves. They say, "Can I become a Buddha?" Can you imagine that? The Buddha coming out of work said, "I'm not sure I can become a Buddha." Never heard anything like that before. It's so Tian Guo. Thank you, everyone. We stop here today. I hope you learned something. I'm going to say something I regret later.